Okay, good evening. Adam and Kalea, could you please give the invocation this evening?
My name is Adam Dawes. This is my beautiful fiancee, Kalea Johnsey. And God, I just thank you for tonight. I just praise you for all you're doing in Freeport, God. And I just pray that you would just give the wisdom to every alderman, the mayor, God, just everyone else that's making decisions tonight, God, that they would just seek you for wisdom, for you for guidance, and that their eyes would be open to what you want done in Freeport, God, that every step they need to take, every right and wrong decision they need to make, God, whether it's right, God, they trust you, and if, God, if it's wrong, that they would just seek you for how to redirect that, God. And we just praise you for just everything you're already doing in Freeport, everything that you've already done, and then we would just build upon that.
Yes, Jesus, and as I was in prayer tonight, the Lord led me to Psalm 116, so I'm just going to read that real quick. I love the Lord because he hears and continues to hear my voice and my supplications, my pleas, my cries, my specific needs. Because he has inclined his ear to me, therefore I will call on him as long as I live. The cords and sorrows of death encompassed me, and the terrors of Sheol came upon me. I found distress and sorrow. Then I called on the name of the Lord. O Lord, please save my life. Gracious is the Lord and consistently righteous. Yes, our God is compassionate. The Lord protects the simple childlike. I was brought low, humbled, and discouraged, and he saved me. Return to your rest, O my soul, for the Lord has dealt bountifully with you. For you have rescued my life from death, my ears from tears, and my eyes from tears, and my feet from stumbling and falling. I will walk in submissive wonder before the Lord, in the land of the living. I believed and clung to my God when I said, I am greatly afflicted. I said in my alarm, all men are liars. What I will give to the Lord in return, what will I give to the Lord in return for all of his benefits toward me? How can I repay him for his precious blessings? I will lift up the cup of salvation and call on the name of the Lord. I will pay my vows to the Lord, yes, in the presence of all of his people. Precious and of great consequence in the sight of the Lord is the death of his godly ones, so he watches over them. O Lord, truly I am your servant. I am your servant, the son of your handmaid. You have unfastened my chains. I will offer you the sacrifice of thanksgiving and will call on the name of the Lord. I will pay my vows to the Lord, yes, in the presence of all his people, in the courts of the Lord's house temple, in the midst of you, O Jerusalem. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. So Jesus, we just thank you for who you are, God. We thank you that you would just bring clarity, truth over tonight, God, that there would be discernment in each of our hearts, Lord, and that we would be open to the truth of you, God. We thank you that you have all authority and power, and that no blind spots would occur, God. If there is an area where we feel blinded or we cannot see clearly, Lord, that you would just open that up and there would be truth revealed, and that anything in the dark would come into the light. And so we thank you, Lord, for who you are, and just bless this night. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. So now we will officially call this regular council meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Attending in person, Mayor Miller.
Here.
Alderpersons Ross.
Here.
And Parker.
Here.
Attending via teleconference, Borneman.
Present.
McClanathan.
Present.
Busker.
Present.
Brashaw said she would be absent in advance. Mysick.
Present.
And Berberet.
Present.
Staff attending in person, Manager Bucus.
Present.
And I think I saw Director Boyer.
Present.
Oh, right there. Director Sutman.
Present.
Chief Liggett.
Present.
Chief Summers.
Present.
Director Richter. Present. Director Huffines. Present. Clerk Anderson is present in person. Do we have Director Hines via teleconference?
Yes, I'm present.
Thank you. And then still present in person is Attorney Sosnowski.
Present.
Did I miss any of the directors? I think we're good, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. If you could please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Alderman Borneman.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item number 1 is the approval of the agenda. However, we are going to be removing item number 2 for the minutes aren't available, but that will be at the next meeting. And also, item number 29 and 30 will be moved to a later date. So with those adjustments, is there an approval for the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Was that second Borneman? Who was the second?
It was Mysick.
Then we have a motion made by Alderman Ross, seconded by Alderman Mysick. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Mysick,
Aye.
and Berberay.
Aye.
The agenda is approved 7-0.
Thank you. Alderman Parker, would you look and see if anybody has signed up for public comments? Thank you. Then we'll move on to item number 4, which is the consent agenda. The consent agenda is considered to be routine in nature unless a member of the council would like to have something removed for further discussion. Seeing none, the consent agenda consists of approving and placing on file the 2021 calendar of regular meetings, the boards and commission minutes from the Historic Preservation Commission from February 18th and October 10th, the firefighters' pension fund from July 30th, the police pension fund from July 30th, the library board of trustees from August 12th, September 9th, and October 14th, the liquor commission minutes from September 10th, the planning commission from October 8th, the social justice committee from October 15th and November 5th, and the board of fire and police commissioners from October 27th. Also is the Greater Freeport Partnerships monthly report dated November 19th, and the finance reports for general fund, library, water, sanitary sewer, storm sewer funds for October 31st, 2020. Also, the cash and investment reports for October 31st, 2020, and the Social Justice Committee final report of recommendations to council dated November 19th, 2020. Also is approving the finance bills payable in the total of $708,834.28, and payroll for pay period ending November 21st, 2020, in the total of $537,700.66. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion made by Alderman Parker, and I'm guessing that was Mysick,
Yes.
and seconded by Alderman Mysick. Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Mysick,
Aye.
and Berberay.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, item number 5, which I'm excited to hear, is the announcement of the winner of the Battle of the Badges, presented by the Salvation Army.
All right, now, I am not sunshine. But I'm going to try. She gave me a folder. In 2018, the fire department and police department raised $1,719. In 2019, they raised $2,439.54. This year, oh wait, I'm supposed to give you these. Oh, forgot. Ready? The grand total is $2,203. It was a decrease of $236, guys. And the spread of the winner is only $107.93. Nope, winner isn't on this one either. It says, our firefighters doused too many donations. They were down $275.87 from their 2019 total. Our police were booking in more donations. They were $39.50 over their 2019 total. But, there's always a but, isn't there? Our Freeport Fire Department couldn't be put out. The fire department won at $1,155.55. The police raised $1,147.62. That makes a huge difference in our Christmas effort, guys, and we want to thank you. And Captain Tim has a little bit of stats. Oh, the trophy, sorry.
I just have a couple of stats here. So far, we've raised $100,833 of our goal is at 175. We're at 58% of our goal. We'll be serving at least 600 families with 500 children this year.
Well, thank you, captains, and congratulations, Fire. Sorry, Summers.
Can I request a recount?
Okay, we'll move on to item number 6 at the time being for appointments. Madam Clerk, would you please read this?
Appointment of Ron Kane to the Zoning Board of Appeals effective immediately through June 30th, 2021.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion for approval by Alderman Parker, seconded by Alderman Ross. Is there any discussion, council? Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Mysick,
Aye.
and Berberay.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Would you want to join me, Mr. Gridley and Chief? I think you have the microphone, right? I do. Okay, and Cameron, if you want to come on up? You want to say what you want to say?
This is Cameron Wozak. He's our new firefighter, and he started today, had his first full day of orientation, and we'd like to present Cameron for his swearing in this evening. Mr. Gridley.
Great. Thank you, Chief, and welcome, Cameron. Congratulations for a far distance and a long way, and you're now a member of this fantastic team. So we're very proud of our Freeport Fire Department, the trust that we have in all of our department members, and the faith that we base in all of you for protecting and serving our families can't be understated. It's a heavy responsibility, but we know you're up to the task, and you have a great team to support you every step of the way. So it's my pleasure to read your official commission. Official commission, City of Freeport Board of Fire and Police Commission. To all whom these present shall come. Cameron Wojcik, having been duly appointed to the position of firefighter EMTB in and for the City of Freeport in the County of Stevenson and State of Illinois for the term from the 7th day of December 2020 until his successor shall have been duly appointed and qualified, is hereby fully authorized and empowered to assume and perform all the duties of his said office according to the law and the ordinances of said city, and all persons are required to respect him in the discharge of his said duties by order of the Board of Fire and Police Commission. Congratulations, Cameron.
Thank you. And I'm going to give this to you so people can hear your voice on this, okay? So can you hold that for us for me? If you could raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Cameron Wozak,
I, Cameron Wozak,
do solemnly
solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of firefighter
of office of firefighter
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Cameron. We're happy to have you.
Thank you.
And then you can say whatever you like.
Thank you, Chief. I just want to say thank you to everyone that has given me this opportunity to join this team and department, and I will do my very best to serve you guys as well. I want to thank my family for all the years of support through my testing process and the years of when I joined the fire service when I was younger. Thank you.
Thank you. You can take those with you and have a seat. Madam Mayor, I did have a promotion this evening.
Yes.
That individual is not able to make it, so I apologize for the check in the agenda.
Okay, thank you. Then we'll move on to item number 9, which is recognition of service awards. Manager Bucus.
Thank you, Your Honor. Tonight we have 3 people that are being recognized. Unfortunately, 2 of them can't be here. Mark Kronemeyer, who's got 20 years in with the Public Works Department, and Timothy Wyko with the Police Department for 15 years. I'm going to turn the time over to Police Chief Summers to present Brandy Hilby, her certificate for 20 years.
Just need you to face that way so you can face everybody. It's a privilege to recognize Officer Hilby tonight. Brandy's been with the police department for 20 years. She's served in a lot of different positions. She's been assigned to our drug task force for several years. She's also been assigned to the Detective Bureau and the Juvenile Bureau for a long time. There's one thing that I can always count on. I can always count on Brandy to come to work and do her job professionally. And I know if there's ever any time that we need to pick some extra time up, that she's always there to do that. I'd also like to recognize her family that's here, because it's just, her husband Mark's here and one of her sons Austin's here. We can't do this job without tremendous support at home, and I know that she gets tremendous support at home from her family. One thing that I think I can say that just sums up Officer Hilby's, the way she does her job, is after the civil unrest that we had, I went around and talked to a lot of different people. And every time I talked to people, they said, you needed two officers, or you need more officers like 2 of them. And Brandy's name was always in there. So I think that's a great testament to Brandy as she comes to work and does her job and has that respect of the community. So thank you for what you do every day. And I'll have your certificate tomorrow. So.
Would any of you like to take a moment for photos, or are we good there? Yes, we'll take a moment.
Don't forget your trophy.
Okay, I think we're good. Thank you very much. Item number 10 is the second reading of ordinance 2020-61. Madam Clerk, would you please read this?
Ordinance amending Chapter 806 alcoholic liquor sales to include a downtown festival district.
Thank you. Manager Bucus.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is second reading on ordinance 2020-61 dealing with the downtown festival district. Nothing has changed from the first reading. We've reviewed this a number of times and as a committee of a whole, and it's my recommendation that council approve the ordinance on second reading.
Any further discussion, council? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll on the passage of ordinance 2020-61?
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Mysick,
Aye.
and Berberay.
Aye.
The ordinance passes 7-0.
Thank you. Item number 11 is the second reading of ordinance 2020-62. Could you please read this?
Ordinance approving special use permit for accessory building on Marvin Lane.
Thank you. Director Hines?
Thank you. So just as a reminder, the special use application for Marvin Lane is for an accessory building. It's for an R3 zoned lot where there's no principal building. The structure is going to be 20 by 32 foot storage shed to hold maintenance equipment for Fox Howell LLC. The total parcel size is about 4.34 acres large. Staff doesn't have any concerns with this proposal for the special use accessory building, and neither did the Zoning Board of Appeals or Planning Commission. So at this time, we recommend approval of this ordinance.
Any other questions, council? Thank you, Director Hines. Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll on the passage of ordinance 2020-62?
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Abstain.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Mysick,
Aye.
Berberay.
Aye.
And the ordinance passes 6-0 with one abstention.
Thank you. Item number 12 is the second reading of ordinance 2020-63. Could you please read this?
Ordinance approving variance permit for 1858 Southwest Avenue.
Thank you. Director Hines?
Thank you. So just as a reminder, again, this special use or variance application, for 1858 Southwest Avenue is for Muddy Paws, which is a dog daycare and grooming facility. Currently, B3 commercial and wholesale business districts allow for pet shops or animal hospitals when conducted wholly within an enclosed building, but they don't explicitly allow for grooming or animal daycare facilities. Staff doesn't have any concerns with this. We would recommend approval of the grooming and dog daycare facility under the condition that the property is maintained in accordance with our ordinance, existing ordinance, and that any future changes are adhered to as well. The zoning board and the planning commission both recommended approval as well.
Thank you, Director. Any questions or comments, council? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll on the passage?
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Abstain.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Mysick,
Aye.
and Berberay.
Aye.
The ordinance passes 6-0 with one abstention.
Thank you. Item number 13 is the second reading of ordinance 2020-64. Could you please read this?
Appropriation ordinance fiscal year 2021, January 1 to December 31, 2021 for the city of Freeport.
Thank you. Manager Bucus?
Thank you, Your Honor. Earlier this evening, we had a public hearing on the ordinance. What we're looking at for fiscal year 2021, which begins January 1st, is our major funds. General fund, per the first reading we had, was $20,334,915. The water fund's $5,547,084. Sanitary sewer fund is $5,494,400, and library fund of $1,113,830. There are a couple tweaks to this ordinance I'd like to propose since the first reading. I'm recommending that the general fund appropriation be increased by $40,000. The tax levy which we'll discuss next, I'm also going to be recommending that we increase that by $40,000. This additional $40,000 came about because of we received the estimated assessed valuation from the county, and therefore I'm trying to capture the entire levy. So it's my recommendation that the council make a motion to amend ordinance 2020-64 to increase the appropriations in the general fund to $20,374,915, pass the amendment, and then adopt the ordinance number 2020-64 as amended.
Council?
Mayor.
Alderman McClanathan?
Thank you. Manager Bucus, of that increase, approximately how much of the increase in the EVA was attributed to residential?
Majority of it. Our increase in evaluation, which would be on the next agenda item, was basically $8 million, and about $700 million, excuse me, yeah, $8 million. $7 million of that was residential increase.
Follow-up, Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you. Was this also the first calculation of the EAV that included the annexed properties?
That is correct. We have a the full valuation from the annexations that took place last year.
Do we believe that a substantial amount of that $8 million residential increase is attributable to the addition of those properties?
I believe about $3.5 million is attributed to that increase of the $7 million in residential investment, and approximately another.
Sorry,
Yes.
Go ahead, Manager Bucus.
And approximately another $380,000 was also due to new construction, new residential construction.
Follow-up, Mayor?
Sure.
So if we adopt your proposal on this case, it will largely leave the tax rate unchanged. Is that correct?
That is correct. That was the intentions of council, I believe, and I try to keep their wishes at the same time trying to increase the levy to the maximum that I possibly could.
So in that light, the only way an individual on their city portion of their property taxes would see an increase is if the Freeport Township assessor increased the taxable value of the property?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions, council? Well, I believe Manager Bucus is looking for a motion to amend the ordinance to increase the appropriations to general fund by $40,000. Is that correct, Manager?
That is correct, Madam Mayor.
Sir, is there a motion for this amendment?
So moved.
Is there a second? So we have a motion for an amendment on the increase, and so the motion was made by Misick, seconded by Berberay, so the vote will be just for the amendment only. So Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Misick,
Aye.
and Berberay.
Aye.
The amendment passes 7-0.
Thank you. So now before you, council, is the amended version of ordinance 2020-64. Are there any more questions concerning this? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll on the passage?
Do we need another motion since it has changed? Yeah.
Okay, so I do need a motion for approving the amended version.
So moved. Second.
Alderman McClanathan, were you the second? Misick? Okay. Okay, so we have a motion made by Alderman Busker, seconded by Alderman Misick to approve ordinance 2020-64 as amended. Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Misick,
Aye.
and Berberay.
Aye.
The ordinance passes 7-0.
Thank you. Item number 14 is the second reading of ordinance 2020-65. Could you please read this?
An ordinance for the levy and assessment of taxes for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2021 and ending December 31, 2021 for the city of Freeport.
Thank you. Manager Bucus.
Thank you, Your Honor. As we just kind of previously discussed, the equalized value, the 2020 equalized assessed value, we received, did come in this past week or week ago, and it did show an increase of about $8 million over last year's equalized value. There again, we're requesting that council approve the a levy with a $40,000 increase, and as mentioned before, a house valued at $100,000 would see no increase in the city portion of their property taxes if their assessments had not been changed. During the past 3 years, the city council has tried to keep the tax rate the same. Tax rate is almost is the amount that's levied on the property, and because of underestimating the equalized assessed value in the past, the tax rate has actually decreased from roughly $1.21 to $1.18 this year. A home that was not seeing an increase in their assessed value has been paying less in city property taxes today than they were 3 years ago. I am recommending that the City Council make a motion to amend Ordinance 2020-65, increasing the tax levy for 2020 paid in 2021 from $2,535,000 to $2,575,000. Pass the amendment and then adopt the ordinance as amended.
Council? So Manager Bucus is looking for a motion to amend that increase of the tax levy by $40,000.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion made by Alderman Berberay, seconded by Alderman Misick to amend Ordinance 2020-65 as stated. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Misick,
Aye.
and Berberay.
Aye.
The amendment passes 7-0.
Thank you. So now before you, council, is the amended version of Ordinance 2020-65. If there's no further discussion, I'd like it to ask for a motion to approve as amended.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion made by Alderman Busker, seconded by Alderman Misick. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Misick,
Aye.
and Berberay.
Aye.
The ordinance passes 7-0.
Thank you. Item number 15 is the second reading of ordinance 2020-66. Could you please read this?
An ordinance for the levy and assessment of taxes for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2021, and ending December 31, 2021, for the public library of the city of Freeport.
Thank you. Manager Bucus.
Thank you, Your Honor. Council approved the ordinance 2 weeks ago, and it's my recommendation that we continue to approve ordinance number 2020-66. I'm not recommending any changes because the library is currently capped at how much they can levy, and so even though they got an increase in the equalized value, they're not going to see basically an increase in their funding.
Is there a motion? Oh, I guess we don't need one on this one, do we?
No.
No. So is there any questions, council? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Borneman,
Aye.
McLanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Mysick,
Aye.
Berbere.
Aye.
The ordinance passes 7-0.
Next is item number 16, which has multiple ordinances lumped together from 2020-67 to 74. Madam Clerk, could you please read these for the record?
67 is an ordinance to abate the 2020 real estate tax levy for the repayment of the general obligation bonds, Series 2013A. Number 2020-68 is an ordinance to abate the 2020 real estate tax levy for the repayment of the general obligations bonds, Series 2014A. Ordinance 2019-69 is an ordinance to abate the 2020 real estate tax levy for the repayment of the general obligation bonds, Series 2014B. 2020-70 is an ordinance to abate the 2020 real estate tax levy for the repayment of the general obligation bonds, Series 2015A. 2020-71 is an ordinance to abate the 2020 real estate tax levy for the repayment of the general obligation bonds, Series 2016. 2020-72 is an ordinance to abate the 2020 real estate tax levy for the repayment of the general obligation bonds, Series 2018. 2020-73 is an ordinance to abate the 2020 real estate tax levy for the repayment of the general obligation bonds, Series 2019A. 2020-74 is an ordinance to abate the 2020 real estate tax levy for the repayment of the general obligation bonds, Series 2020.
Thank you. Manager Bucus.
Thank you, Your Honor. City Council has a tradition of abating general obligation bonds, as we usually have resources other than property taxes to repay the annual debt. When the general obligation bonds are issued, the city places a levy on all property within the city. The county clerk would place the levy on each tax year until the bond is paid, and if the city did not abate the taxes. The city can abate these tax levies by using other resources to make these repayments. And it's my recommendation that council adopt all the ordinances that were previously mentioned on second reading.
Questions, council? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll on the passage of the ordinances as stated?
Borneman,
Aye.
McLanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Mysick,
Aye.
and Berbere.
Aye.
The ordinances pass 7-0.
Thank you. Item number 17 is second reading of ordinance 2020-75. Could you please read this?
An ordinance amending the codified ordinances of the City of Freeport pertaining to the definition of meeting halls in the zoning code amends Section 1240.06 definitions.
Thank you. Director Hines?
Thank you. So I don't have a whole lot to add to this reading. So we're making an update to the definition of meeting halls in our zoning code to align more with our change in business regulations for meeting halls. The definition is essentially pulled right from the business regulations section, so they line up well. Staff makes a recommendation to approve this text amendment, and both the Planning Commission and Zoning Board of Appeals recommended approval.
Thank you, Director. Discussion, council. Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please take the passage of ordinance 2020-75?
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Meissick,
Aye.
and Berberay.
Aye.
The ordinance passes 7-0.
Thank you. Item number 18 is the first reading of ordinance 2020-57.
Ordinance amending various sections of Chapter 242, Fire Department, and Chapter 1640, Bureau of Fire Prevention of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Freeport to reorganize the Fire Department, and in parentheses, Fire Marshal.
Thank you. Chief Liggett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The department went through a reorganization in 2018. In the 2018 department implemented two 40-hour deputy chief positions, one for operations and one for administration. The incumbent for the deputy chief of administration retired October 9th, 2020. Since beginning as chief of the department, I've examined department operations and processes where we may be able to develop some financial efficiency. I've completed an inspection file audit, and I believe the department would benefit from an implementation of a fire marshal position instead of utilizing the deputy chief for this role. The deputy chief of administration, as named in the existing ordinance, is a highly specialized position that requires specific skill set for the assigned duties. In my professional opinion, the nature of the work and the supervisory responsibilities do not require a deputy chief level position. The work of the Fire Inspection Bureau is previously done by a chief fire inspector. When we presented this reorganization in September Committee of the Whole, there was a question asked about the position that could be promoted to a chief officer position within the department. Upon examination of our legal team, we were able to determine that the position could, in fact, be promoted to district chief. As I previously reported, that this position has a concept of not bringing back the old fire inspector. As a matter of practicality, in maintaining the exempt status of the position and the ability to appoint the fire marshal upon the advice of our legal team, this reorganization will rename the previous fire inspector position to be known as fire marshal. The fire marshal shall have all the duties and responsibilities previously assigned to chief fire inspector. There is a new job description that will include the requirement to supervise, organize, and direct all of the activities listed within the Fire Prevention Bureau. The chief fire inspector was directed to participate in those things, not supervise them. The fire marshal position needs to be funded because we're not able to delegate that work to anyone else. And we don't have anybody else in the fire department that would be able to absorb those duties. The line staff is very busy. They do conduct company inspections. However, most of our large facilities would need to be taken care of by the fire marshal. We believe that this is a positive change for the department. We're looking for consistency, and I would ask that the council support this ordinance change. This is an FTE neutral change, and there's a slight savings in the budget by the reduced salary range. Do you have any questions?
Mayor?
Alderman Ross?
Yes, Chief Liggett. Would he work a 24-hour shift or an 8-hour shift?
It'd be a 40-hour shift, just like the current deputy chief's position is.
8 hours a day?
Yes, yes, sir.
Thank you.
And be subject to recall and for fires and major emergencies.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
One question.
Alderman Parker?
Yeah, the one thing is you said we believe. Now, has this got the support of the department, or is this only the administrative there?
Oh, yes, I have the support of the department.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Alderman McClanathan?
Thank you, Chief. Couple things at the offset. One, I appreciate you taking a look at this overall, and I know we had the reorganization not too long ago, which eliminated some of the higher, or some of the tiers of management. You're also looking at saying, well, okay, we don't necessarily need to set the second highest tier, I suppose, and bringing it down. With that said, and I also appreciate that this would have some financial savings as we're going forward here. With that said, reviewing the memo and having talked with you, in paragraph 2 of your memo, you indicate that the marshal will have all the duties and responsibilities previously assigned to the chief fire inspector, but then the new job description will include the requirement to supervise, organize, and direct all the activities listed herein, and the chief fire inspector just had to participate in them. In practice, though, how is that supervisory role different than what was in place a couple years ago?
The supervisory role that was filled regarding fire inspections sat on the battalion chief of the shift. So when the fire marshal or the fire inspector would schedule inspections, then it fell on the battalion chief to do that supervising, to make sure the work got done. In this situation, it'll be a direct report. The lieutenants can direct report to the fire marshal, and the fire marshal will then be making sure that the schedules are maintained, the records are maintained, the follow-up inspections are conducted. So we're eliminating a step and the possibility of miscommunication. And then creating that consistency across the board.
Follow up, Mayor?
Sure.
Okay, so under the prior, I won't say the immediately prior, but when you had the battalion chiefs and fire inspector position, duties were carried out by the fire inspector, but the supervisory role was handled at the battalion chief level. With the reorganization under Chief Allen, you had the elimination of the position and all of the delegation of duties, supervised, and also participation of the duties was then in your, your deputy chief, I believe. Is that inaccurate for what the change we had from the pre-Allen system to the Allen system?
Correct.
Okay, and now we're looking to say we don't need 2 deputy chiefs here, so we're going to eliminate a deputy chief position, but delegate the supervisory role to, I don't know, for lack of a better phrase, kind of mid-level management. So, but at the same time, this fire marshal position is going to have additional responsibilities, particularly of a supervisory nature, that existed when we previously had a battalion chief and a fire inspector role. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Can I follow up, Mayor?
Sure.
Thank you. All right. I know I asked you this a couple weeks ago, but outside of like Rockford or Beloit, what other departments in this region have a similar position to this? And are there others outside of Rockford and Beloit that have that? And then for those who don't have it in our region, how are these duties managed?
I know that we talked about this recently, and I haven't been able to get any feedback from fellow chief officers. I did send an email out to my fellow chief officers in the region, and I did not get a response in time for me to be able to answer that question this evening.
Follow up, Mayor?
Sure.
As far as you're aware, are these duties and responsibilities handled by those other departments, even if there's not a position?
They may have, yes, they would have, a chief fire inspector, I guess, position. They may have more stoutness in their responsibilities. For instance, my position in Beloit was called a fire inspection coordinator. That individual was the supervisor for the Fire Inspection Bureau. They worked under a deputy chief of fire prevention, who was also in charge of the shift. Of one of the 3 shifts. We had, our bureau was made up that way. So, there are similar situations in other communities, but again, we're trying to find something that's going to fit for us. And the more important thing for me is making sure that we appoint someone who has the skill set that can perform the duties efficiently and consistently.
Follow up, Mayor.
Go ahead.
In your opinion, what is more efficient and provides a better result of this proposed system versus other departments who do not have a defined position of this nature?
I believe that with the nature of the way that we operate the rest of the department, we currently operate below national standards for fire department response. And to place these duties on the companies or company officers would already stress an incredibly difficult situation. So I believe it's in our best interest for the city of Freeport and the safety of our citizens to place these duties on a 40-hour position. And that's where the efficiency and consistency comes in. If we take and utilize or assign these duties to 9 different lieutenants, then we have 9 different ways of doing things, and 9 different ways of supervising the process, and 9 different opinions of the code. If we have one individual that's in charge of the Fire Prevention Bureau, who is highly specialized and trained and certified, that individual is the one who will then interpret the code and advise lieutenants and help them with decision making. So that's where I believe that we're going to develop the efficiency and consistency by having that leadership in this position.
Thanks, Chief. I appreciate the feedback.
Your Honor,
Alderman Parker?
2 questions. One is he going to be as an appointed position or a promotion by the Police Fire Commission?
It is an appointed position, sir.
By the chief?
Yes, sir.
Okay, second is, in the chain of command, who is going to be his immediate supervisor?
That would be me, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor,
Alderman Ross?
Chief Libby, as Alderman Parker just stated, though, but where would he be at in the chain of command?
It's not a rank as an appointed position. It would be an equivalent to the district chief level in the chain of command. It's equivalent to the district chief level.
Okay.
So it's equivalent pay grade. They have the very same pay grade.
Okay. Mayor, so then, when it comes to training, he or she,
Mm-hmm.
is it a long training period or not?
We have individuals in the department that have already attained some of those credentials that they would need, fire inspection certification, arson investigation certification, fire investigation certification. So those credentials already exist within the department. We have candidates that we can look at. The training is available through the Office of the Illinois State Fire Marshals. And it typically, the training, each of the training certifications is about 2 weeks in length.
Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor,
Alderman Parker?
make a motion to move this forward.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion made by Alderman Parker, seconded by Alderman Ross to move ordinance 2020-57 on to the next regularly scheduled meeting. Unless there's any further discussion, council?
Mayor, this is Borneman.
Yes, Alderman Borneman.
Just had a question.
Go ahead.
Chief, how you mentioned that this will actually save money or reduce costs. Can you explain if I'm right about that? How so?
It's a salary range. I believe it's 2 salary ranges below the deputy chief level.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, sir.
If there's no other discussion, then we'll move on to item number 19, which is the first reading of ordinance 2020-76. Could you please read this?
Ordinance amending section 682.02 indecent activities of the codified ordinances.
Chief Summers.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. While doing some other work and looking at some other things early in the year, we came across this ordinance that had outdated language in it that needed to be updated. I worked with Attorney Zito to update that language and present it to the council for, and ask that the council approve the ordinance.
Madam Mayor?
Alderman Misick?
Yes, thank you. Chief, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to put this together. I see that the former version of this ordinance did not give a very good description of indecent activities, and now seeing this better description, I see that it gives a much more inclusive picture. So in your estimation, Chief, would you say that this makes the ordinance more enforceable to the extent of being able to hold people accountable?
I guess simply yes, to hold people accountable to the way the ordinance is written now for what it covers in there, yes.
Yeah, thank you. I definitely am in support of the revised language of this. Thank you.
Alderman Parker?
Make a motion to move it forward.
Is there a second?
Second.
Was the second Misick?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a motion made by Alderman Parker, seconded by Alderman Misick to move ordinance 2020-76 onto the next regularly scheduled meeting. However, I believe the chief would like to ask for a suspension of the rules if the council's okay with that.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion made by Alderman Busker, seconded by Alderman Misick for suspension of the rules. Suspension of the rules is non-debatable and must pass by a 2/3 majority. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll on suspension only?
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Misick,
Aye.
and Berberay.
Aye.
The suspension passes 7-0.
So now before you, council, for final passage of this ordinance, unless there's any further discussion. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Misick,
Aye.
and Berberay.
Aye.
The ordinance passes 7-0.
Thank you. Item number 20 is the first reading of ordinance 2020-77. Could you please read this?
Ordinance approving vacation of Cable Street.
Thank you. Director Hines.
Thank you. So staff received a request from Michelle and Travis Kubley. They're the owners of the site addressed 1147 West Beach Avenue, and they proposed the vacation of Cable Street to expand their property that abuts Cable Street. Cable Street has not been used and is currently filled with vegetation. There's some pretty big trees throughout that strip of land. The proposed vacation would give the Kubleys ownership of the northerly half of Cable Street, and this would give them about 30 feet of land to the south of their existing property line, and a little over 684 feet from the eastern side of Turner Avenue to the western side of Beaver River Lane. The city would maintain ownership of the southern half of Cable Street, and the vacation of the northern half would not interfere with any existing infrastructure. There is none underneath this portion of Cable Street. There's only some slightly east of the end point at Beaver River Lane. This parcel is zoned M1 light manufacturing, and the proposed vacation would follow that existing zoning use. and the Cubleys have been maintaining a portion of Cable Street that abuts their lawn and garage. Approximately several feet of a garage is currently over the property line on Cable Street as well. And I did want to add too, in 2 weeks at the next council meeting, I'll be presenting some information on subdividing this lot. You can tell it's a pretty long parcel. There's actually five primary structures on this one parcel. They're all over 50 years old, so they've been like that for quite a while. We're having a public hearing on that this week, but I just wanted to add that information as well to kind of give you a little bit more background on this property. Nope, staff does not see any issues with this request, and we recommend approval of the vacation of the northern half of Cable Street to the Cubleys. And I can take any questions.
Mayor.
Alderman Ross.
Director Hines. My question is, they want to approve the vacation of the street, but wouldn't that fall under the ordinance of purchasing the street we spoke about maybe a month ago?
Madam Mayor?
I'm not quite sure, but since it's an unused street, so it's part of a state statute to go through this type of process. If someone is interested in vacating it, in taking ownership of it, there are a few different procedures that you can go through when giving ownership of a street to someone else, including abandonment, I believe. But I don't want to get too much in the weeds and confused.
Manager Bucus.
As Director Hines pointed out, this is a vacation. We're not actually selling the property. It's a right-of-way that has never been improved. There's no improvements on it or underneath the right-of-way, and according to state statutes, you have to vacate it. The property normally goes to the adjacent property owner.
Okay, thank you for that. And what would they use this property for?
Currently, part of their one garage is in our right-of-way, and so that's why we're vacating it, so that they could then subdivide the property and sell their house and garage that's on the site.
Okay, and there's no infrastructure or anything like that we or them would be concerned about?
That is correct. We have no utilities. There's no electric or gas or either. And we are keeping 30% of the right-of-way just in case some future utility may need to be placed in there. But right now, that area, as was previously mentioned by Director Hines, is all zone M1, and we don't see a future use for that right now.
Yes, it is a vacant street, to be honest with you. I don't think nobody owns it. So, okay, no problem at all. Thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Alderman McClanathan.
Thank you. When was this initially dedicated as a street?
I actually don't. I don't have that information in front of me, and we might have to look that up and get it back to you.
Well, in the entire time that it has been dedicated as a street, have there ever been any improvements on it in its entire time? And if so, when was the last time there were any improvements on there?
In our research, we did not find any improvements that were made to the street, and so I'm not sure that there ever were.
So back in the day, there was decades and decades ago, there was an idea that this might be used as a street, public way, but it never materialized over time. And if anything, it's been being used by adjoining owners, and we have no intention at this time or in the foreseeable future of ever changing and exercising and using it as a street. Is that all correct?
That is correct.
All right, I'd make a motion to approve ordinance, or move forward ordinance 2020-77.
Second.
If there's no further discussion, council, we have a motion made by Alderman McClanathan, seconded by Alderman Ross, to move ordinance 2020-77 on to the next regularly scheduled meeting. Item number 21 is the first reading of ordinance 2020-78. Could you please read this?
Ordinance extending lease, excuse me, lease of 208 East Main Street for Pretzel City Transit vehicles.
Thank you. Director Hines?
Thank you. So the Pretzel City Area Transit has leased 208 East Main Street since November 1 of 2019 to provide space for light maintenance and washing of the Pretzel City Transit vans and buses. The monthly cost for the leasing the space is $500 per month. And this lease agreement addendum would allow for, it would extend our lease, which originally ended this year, and it would allow for an automatic yearly extension until either party gives 60-day notice of its intent not to renew. The original lease had said that we had to initiate renew of the lease on a yearly basis, and so we're updating that language so that it automatically renews unless one of us gives notice. So we recommend approval of the lease agreement extension for the Pretzel City Transit to continue using the space to house and maintain vehicles. It's been going well over the last year.
Thank you. Questions?
Mayor?
Alderman Ross?
Yes, I have to totally agree with Director Hines. That has worked out very good for Pretzel City Bus. I mean, they get to bring their vehicles in, clean them up, bring them back out the door. Haven't heard any problems or anything, or nobody moaning or groaning about it. So it's really to the advantage of us to go ahead and extend the lease, and I'd like to make the motion to go ahead and do so.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion made by Alderman Ross, seconded by Alderman Parker for moving ordinance 2020-78 on. Was there any other discussion, council?
Madam Mayor,
Alderman Busker?
I was just going to make a motion to suspend the rules. It looks like you're asking for that.
Yes, that's correct. Director Hines, can you let the council know why you're asking for that?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear that.
Was there a reason you were asking for a suspension of the rules?
I'm sorry, did you ask if there was a reason why?
Yes.
Yeah, so the lease, it expired recently, and so we're asking for a suspension of the rules so we can continue leasing the space with at this location.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion made by Alderman Busker for the suspension of the rules. Is there a second?
Second. Okay.
Alderman Parker? Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll on the suspension of the rules only? Again, suspension of the rules is non-debatable and must pass by a 2/3 majority.
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Mysick,
Aye.
and Berberay.
Aye.
The suspension passes 7-0.
Thank you. So now before you, council, is the approval, second reading of the ordinance 2020-78. Is there any other discussion?
Mayor,
Alderman McClanathan.
are the costs of this lease covered under any of the grants?
Could you hear that, Director Hines?
That is actually something that I would have to look into.
For those of you that can't see, Finance Director is shaking her head yes. She said yes, it is, Alderman McClanathan.
Thank you.
Okay, so if there's no other discussion, Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Meissick,
Aye.
and Berberay.
Aye.
The ordinance passes 7-0.
Thank you. Item number 22 is the adoption of Resolution 2020-67. Could you please read this?
Resolution authorizing and approving shot spotter detection equipment for reporting shots fired.
Thank you. Chief Summers?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just as a review, we had the presentation from the Shot Spotter Company. They will provide a service for us that will detect incidents of shots being fired. The price was $49,500, I believe. So we're just asking to enter into an agreement with Shot Spotter to bring this technology to the city.
Council?
Madam Mayor?
Alderman Meissick?
I have a question. The 1 square mile that is listed for this service, I understand that it covers the majority of recent shots fired. Can you explain a little bit about how the map was developed and what's justifying keeping it within the 1 square mile range?
That $49,500 was the amount that covered 1 square mile. We provided ShotSpotter a historical data of our shots fired, I think dating back to 2016, which they were able to draw a heat map of where the majority of those shots being fired were. And those are traditionally the spots that we're still seeing some of that. There are incidents of shots being fired that happen outside of that 1 square mile, but that's still where the majority of our historical shots fired were being reported. So that's why that area was developed.
One follow-up?
Sure.
So, Chief, from what I'm hearing, it sounds like the 1 square mile will be sufficient and there's no need to add any additional area to cover potential shots fired?
I think financially right now we are in the position to do the 1 square mile, and if we were going to use that 1 square mile, that's the best place to put that. Of course, in a perfect world, I'd love to have the entire city covered, but that's just not financially feasible at this point.
Sure. Thank you.
Question, Your Honor?
Alderman Berberay?
Thank you. Chief, I think I recall in the presentation and discussion that the caliber of the weapon had to be of such a magnitude that it would record or be noted. Based on our history, a good majority of the weapons used going to follow that category and be within the mile range?
Yes, I believe the question was specifically pointed at the .22 caliber pistol, where he indicated it wouldn't cover that. That's not a caliber of pistol that we're seeing used in these shots fired incidents. I don't know the last time we recovered .22 caliber casing, so everything above that would be detected by the system.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Mayor?
Alderman Borneman?
Thank you. Chief, what's the time frame for implementation for this system?
I don't have the specifics on that. I know that the ShotSpotter had reached out to us last week, starting to do the preliminary footwork of who's going to be in contact, so they can hit the ground running as soon as the budget is passed and that money's available. I can get a further update. I'm sure we'll be in contact with them tomorrow to advise them on whatever happens tonight.
Thanks.
Madam Mayor.
Alderman McClanathan?
Thank you. Along the lines of what Alderman Meissick was talking about, I realize for cost purposes and effectiveness purposes, you've picked out the 1 square mile and I don't have any problem with any of that. In the event that we were down the road to look at expanding that, have they given any indication as to, is it cheaper if you have multiple square miles, or is it pretty much going to come out to 50,000 a square mile?
I believe it was 50,000 a square mile for a department or a city our size.
Thank you, Chief.
Madam Mayor.
Alderman Busker?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution 2020-67.
Second.
Who was the second, please?
You can go with Dan.
Okay, so we have a motion made by Alderman Busker, seconded by Alderman Misick. Unless there's been further discussion, Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Misick,
Aye.
Berbere.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted 7-0.
Thank you. Item number 23 is the adoption of Resolution 2020-68. Could you please read this?
Resolution approving Fair Graham contract for engineering design of wastewater facility design, Phase 1 for Headworks.
Thank you. Director Boyer.
Thank you, Your Honor. The wastewater treatment plant's influence structure, Headworks, is antiquated and needs improvements to maintain operational reliability and regulatory compliance. In addition to the upcoming changes to the regulatory standards for nitrate and phosphorus removal, this necessitates modifications to the Headworks and alterations to the overall treatment process to meet these new compliance standards. The proposed Headworks will replace aging and inadequate equipment, failing concrete pumps, outdated controls, and increase the capacity of existing piping and structures. Other initial improvements will also integrate changes to the wastewater treatment process that will enable long-term regulatory compliance. Lastly, this project has received the highest priority ranking in the state of from the Illinois EPA for 2021 for the wastewater funding program. The proposed agreement submitted by Fair Graham includes engineering and design for the wastewater treatment plant Headworks, phosphorus removal testing and optimization. The agreement also includes IEPA permit application, assembly of final design plans and specifications, other associated permitting requirements, conducting the bid solicitation and bidding process, and preparing recommendations for selecting a contractor. The IEPA revolving loan fund approved loan funding for this project of approximately $15 million with principal forgiveness of $3.9 million. This agreement for engineering design services represents approximately $850,000 worth of the project. Staff requests a resolution to approve the Fair Graham Agreement proposal, wastewater treatment plant Phase 1 improvements proposal for engineering design services for engineering and design services for the wastewater treatment plant Phase 1. And responsive, efficient government prioritizes maintenance of critical infrastructure that supports the community's life and health while protecting the environment. Approval of this agreement is congruent with these Freeport strategic visions and maintains the mechanisms which do that. Do you have any questions?
Alderman Parker?
Make a motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
Any questions, council?
Madam Mayor.
Alderman McClanathan?
Thank you. Obviously, we've got a lot of engineering consulting services on, and I mean, as Mr. Holder knows, obviously we're pleased with the work that's been done, long-standing relationships, things of that nature. Once in a while, I get a comment in regards to saying, okay, I realize, Alderman McClanathan, you tell me that the professional services, they don't have to be bid out, but given the amount of work and scope of work that we do with one firm, and also their familiarity, obviously, with our systems because of the good work that's been done in the past, what are the ways that we once in a while just kind of either informally send things out to bid or just kind of compare prices, things of that nature, if we even do so. So the next time I get asked that question, I'll have a good answer for them.
Well, thank you, Alderman. I would believe in this particular case, you have the foremost expert on our wastewater treatment plant actually works for Fairgram. So from a standpoint of they're going to bring the best value just due to the fact that they understand the system and they have a proven record of success. As far as bidding out projects, we just recently had Chastain work on a stormwater mitigation project for the Freeport Club. And that's one example of how we are using other firms when it comes to design and professional services.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
We're also in the process right now, Alderman McClanathan, of going out for proposals for engineering services for the airport. We're looking at a 3-year contract there. And as Director Boyer mentioned, with our stormwater work that we just did, or we're in the process of doing, we did go out and solicit other proposals. So it really depends on times on the expertise of the firm and what kind of work we're trying to do. But we do try to spread the work out as much as possible.
I appreciate that from both the director and manager. And like I said, obviously we got a long history, good track record with them. I don't have any question in regards to that. Thank you.
Any other questions for Director Boyer? Then we have a motion made by Alderman Parker, seconded by Alderman Ross for the adoption of Resolution 2020-68. Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Borneman.
Aye.
McClanathan.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Busker.
Aye.
Mysick.
Aye.
And Berberay.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted 7-0.
Thank you. Item number 24 is the adoption of Resolution 2020-69. Could you please read this?
Resolution approving Fairgram contract for engineering consulting services for landfills 2, 3, and 4.
Director Boyer.
Thank you, Your Honor. The city owns and is responsible for landfills 2, 3, and 4. Each landfill requires periodic monitoring and inspection to maintain IEPA regulatory compliance. Because of the technical aspect or nature of the work, it is contracted out. The proposed agreement submitted by Fairgram renews the present contract that expires on December 31st, 2020. The agreement includes the following activities: groundwater monitoring, leachate monitoring, Freeport Water and Sewer Department, periodic compliance reporting, annual industrial waste survey, leachate recovery system operations, maintenance and data reduction, leachate recovery system repairs, annual report of the effectiveness of corrective measures, 2-year monitoring, well elevation survey, annual reporting, and landfill mowing and semi-annual inspections. In addition to the above activities, Freeport Municipal Landfill number 4 requires gas monitoring, annual momentum stake inspection, assessment monitoring report, construction quality assurance, and leachate collection system cleaning and bid assistance. The funding for this contract comes from 3 funding sources, approximately $44,000 from the transfer station for tip fees, approximately $4,000 for solar lease contribution funds, and the remaining is through the general fund in the amount of $181,955. The total cost of the agreement to perform the aforementioned services this year is $229,955. Of that, $147,375 is for landfill 2 and 3, and landfill 4 comprises $82,580. Staff requests the resolution to approve Fairgram's agreement proposal annual services for calendar year 2021, Freeport landfill 2, 3, and 4. Do you have any questions?
Madam Mayor?
Alderman Busker.
Yeah, seeing as how this is something we do pretty much every year, we're going to be stuck with it. I make a motion to move this forward or adopt it.
Second.
Second.
Is there any other questions, council?
Madam Mayor,
Alderman McClanathan?
thank you. I'm sure I know the answer, Director, but I got to ask one last time. Any end in sight in regards to the monitoring for the ones that were closed?
It's going to be a minimum of 20 years.
Okay, thank you.
We have a motion on the floor made by Alderman Busker, seconded by Alderman Parker. Unless there's any further discussion. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll on the adoption of Resolution 2020-69?
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Misick,
Aye.
Berbere.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted 7-0.
Thank you. Item number 25 is the adoption of Resolution 2020-70. Could you please read this?
Resolution approving Fairgram contract for wastewater supervisory operations services.
Thank you. Director Boyer.
Thank you, Your Honor. The Illinois Environmental Protection Agency requires a Class 1 group license to operate the Freeport wastewater treatment plant. In the past, the city contracted with a Fairgram during an interim period while previous utility staff attained the proper license to operate the wastewater treatment plant. One of the department's goals is to develop existing operations staff to Class 1 operators. At this time, the city has 3 operators on staff with sufficient operation time and experience to take and pass the Class 1 test. However, in the interim, contract operation services are needed until the wastewater treatment plant staff can attain the proper licensure. The proposed agreement submitted by Fairgram consists of up to 20 hours per month to include monthly discharge monitoring, signing and submission, weekly facility visits, and process control guidance and evaluation. The agreement is on an as-needed basis with a projected term of 13 months, hopefully less. Staff requests a resolution to approve the Fairgram agreement proposal, City of Freeport wastewater treatment plant contract operations supervisory, Freeport, Illinois, for interim contract operations of the Freeport wastewater treatment plant. Do I have any questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Is there any questions from the council? Then we have a motion on the floor made by Alderman Parker, seconded by Alderman Ross for the adoption of this resolution.
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Misick,
Aye.
Berbere.
Aye.
Resolution 2020-70 is adopted 7-0.
Thank you. Item number 26 is the adoption of Resolution 2020-71. Could you please read this?
Resolution approving Fairgram contract for stormwater modeling services.
Thank you, Director Boyer.
Thank you, Your Honor. During storm events, areas of the city experience chronic drainage and inundation issues such as Sioux Drive, Greenfield Drive, and numerous others. Lacking a stormwater management model, efforts remediate local drainage issues that may accentuate downstream issues. To address current and future stormwater concerns, it is necessary to develop a stormwater management model to effectively and efficiently deploy resources for the maximum impact. The proposed agreement submitted by Fairgram creates a citywide stormwater management model. It will determine if the city's stormwater infrastructure is appropriately sized, where improvements are advisable. It will also indicate the appropriate size and volume of detention basins and prevent inundation downstream of stormwater infrastructure. The stormwater management model will also indicate priority infrastructure needs that are eligible for Illinois Environmental Protection Agency revolving funds. The funding for this proposal agreement is through the stormwater budget and is identified in the capital improvement budget for fiscal year 2021. The total estimated cost for the stormwater management model is $145,000. Staff requests a resolution to approve the Fairgram agreement proposal, City of Freeport Storm Sewer Model IEPA Facility Plan, Freeport, Illinois, to develop a stormwater model, a management model. Do you have any questions?
Madam Mayor,
Alderman McClatchy?
thank you. I don't have any questions, just a comment that I think this model will be very very helpful for us, down the road, and some of those areas that you mentioned definitely see the need. Just make a motion to adopt Resolution 2020-71.
Second.
Any further discussion, council? Then we have a motion on the floor made by Alderman McClanathan, seconded by Alderman Busker for this adoption. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Meissick,
Aye.
and Berberay.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted 7-0.
Thank you, Director Boyer.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next is item number 27, which is the adoption of Resolution 2020-72. Could you please read this?
Resolution authorizing and approving an agreement with OpenEdge for online payment service.
Thank you. Director Richter.
Thank you, Your Honor. The Finance Department has implemented a new financial and utility billing software over the last few months. The new software, Encode, integrates specifically with OpenEdge Global Payments Direct for their credit card payments. The updating of the customer payments is done within the software, and our staff do not need to do any extra processes to import this data on a daily basis, as long as you're using OpenEdge credit card processing company. Encode does not support other credit card solutions that will perform these updates without specific manual updating. A new contract is required to utilize OpenEdge as our credit card provider for utility billing and other miscellaneous payments. The fee structure between our previous provider and the new provider is the same. However, the way they collect the payments is a little different. OpenEdge charges the city the fee, and we need to pass that on to our customers in order just to recoup the fees that were charged. OpenEdge is able to match the same fees that were charged through our previous provider, which was Payment Services Network. The previous fees were 2.75% of a transaction for credit card and 75 cents for ACH or check transactions. It is a request of the Finance Department to approve the agreement with OpenEdge. Do you have any questions?
Alderman
Madam
Mayor. Just one second. Alderman Parker?
Yes, so this is talking about our water bill?
Yes, this is the credit card that some people use to go online to pay their water bill. And we also will be using it to accept other credit card payments for miscellaneous items like food and beverage or any other licensures, liquor licenses, things like that.
So right now, the way is you get the bill, you drop the check in the box across the street. That will no longer be available?
Oh, no. This is just an option for those who want to pay with credit card. We'll definitely take checks and cash to pay your water bill, definitely.
Was that Alderman Busker?
Yes, I got a question. Will this allow people to be able to pay their deposits and any kind of late fees or anything to get water turned back on with a credit card now, or do we have to do anything else to change that?
I am investigating that. I know that is something very important to get looked into and get taken care of, because I know right now we don't accept credit card payments in the office. We don't accept them for late, like you said, late fees and turn-ons. So that is definitely something I'm going to look into to getting changed. I'm not sure if that's specified in the ordinance. I have to do a little more research, but we are hooking up the machine downstairs in the office also. So it'll be available online through our website, and it'll also be available downstairs. Probably, need to give me a month or two just to make sure we're all trained, because we just went live last week.
All right, thank you.
Mayor?
Alderman McClanathan?
Thank you. Director, you said that the billing of the 2.75 fee is different, whereas they bill the city and then the city passes it on to the customer. What's the current procedure for the 2.75 fee?
Yeah, PSN kind of held it, and so it never went through our books. So, for example, if you had a $100 bill and it was $2.75, PSN would just keep the $2.75 fee, whereas the new credit card company at the end of the month is just going to charge the city all the fees, and then we need to, we'll have to pay them. Does that make sense? Before, it was kind of nice that PSN would just hold it and we didn't even have to deal with the fees. Now they're going to pass their books.
Sorry. If I understand you correctly, you're saying basically PSN charged it at the transaction level as opposed to after the fact?
Right. They would just, basically, the person would be paying their fee directly to PSN. Now they're going to pay to us, and then we're going to pay OpenEdge.
Manager Bucus?
One way to get around from paying that fee would be if everybody signed up for ACH direct deposit, and we could then withdraw that money on their due date that the bills are due. And that's the easiest and simplest way of really paying your utility bill.
I'll just add, definitely, that's a process that we do ourselves. It doesn't run through a company. We collect that banking information, put it in the software, and we generate those files to upload to the bank and pull those funds on the due date, which is no charge to our utility customers. We are going to put something in the bill again. We've done this periodically. Earlier in 2020, we did that, put a little reminder note, a little form in with the utility bills. So we are going to do that again.
Mayor?
Alderman Borneman?
Thank you. It's somewhat off topic, but since it was brought up, what is preventing the department or the city from accepting credit cards for things we mentioned earlier?
It was just past practice, and I'm a little bit newer to downstairs. That was kind of the way it was, that they didn't accept credit cards downstairs. PSN did a lot for us as far as a manpower type thing. PSN would provide an outlet for people to view their bills. They would, some people were signed up for ACH and actually paying to have them do that. So it's just I don't have a definitive reason why they wouldn't accept them downstairs. I do think it was a manpower thing. That might take longer somehow. I know things have changed. The credit card machines are not nearly what they used to be years ago.
So to follow up with that, Mayor?
Sure.
We're changing that policy then, right? Director or City Manager Bucus, that's something we're working to fix and make that a standard practice to accept credit cards.
Yes, not only utility billing, but also building permits, any other type of fees that we may be charging people, so that, we're trying to bring ourselves into the 21st century.
Is there a time frame for when you think that will be up and running?
I would hope within the next couple months, maybe even before that. They're installing the credit card machine the end of this week, but I'd like my girls to be a little bit more familiar with the software and things like that. My employees, I'm sorry, so we can push out that we're able to do that and advertise.
Right. Thank you. Mayor, I'd make a motion to adopt this resolution.
Second.
All right, we have a motion made by Alderman Borneman, seconded by Alderman Parker. There's no other discussion. Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll on the adoption of Resolution 2020-72?
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Meissick,
Aye.
Berberay.
Aye.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Richter. Item number 28 is the adoption of Resolution 2020-73. Could you please read this?
Resolution approving memorandum of understanding with Policemen's Benevolent Labor Committee for the Police Benevolent and Protective Association, Unit Number 9, regarding COVID sick time.
Thank you. Manager Bucus.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm not going to go into all the acronyms that are affiliated with this process or this memorandum of understanding. I just want to say that the federal government passed a law that basically could exempt or did exempt public safety personnel from sick time during the coronavirus. And what we're proposing is that even though people can, and this resolution deals with the police department. And even though the police department could use their sick time for if they had the coronavirus, they could not use their sick time if they were placed under quarantine by either a doctor or some health department. So what we're doing with this memorandum of understanding is allowing our police department to use their sick time if they're under quarantine. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Madam Mayor,
Alderman Busker.
I make a motion to adopt Resolution 73.
Second.
Is there any other discussion, council?
Yes, Mayor.
Alderman McClanathan.
Manager Bucus, can you explain to us, back in April, we put in place at the recommendation of management that we put in that exemption there. What was the rationale for changing it?
We're not changing it. We're keeping that in place. It's just that we're allowing the emergency responders, in this case the police personnel, to be able to use their sick time if they're under quarantine.
Okay, so please explain the parameters that were put in place in April, and then, because you said you're not changing it, except for they can be used for sick time. So what was put in place in April after the Cures Act?
Yeah.
Might be easier if I respond to Alderman McClenathan. So under the
Sure.
FFCRA, which was brought about in March and the council took action in April, what that did at that time is provide for an ability for employers to provide 80 hours of essentially additional sick leave to their employees that may have COVID-related absences. And that COVID-related absence could be an employee was sick, or a family member was sick, or someone needed quarantine, whether they needed to quarantine or a family member needed to quarantine. What that federal act allowed is municipalities to exempt out first responder employees, and first responder employees were, the definition was fairly broad, and it included public works, fire department employees, police department employees. So what the city did back in the spring is exempt out your employees from that 80 hours. What that also did then was create a situation where if an employee did have a COVID-related absence, they needed to be able to utilize some sort of paid time off, whether it is sick time or vacation time. Under the language in your current contracts, a quarantine is not an approved reason to utilize sick time. So what this MOU does is recognize that when someone is out on a quarantine or they have a family member that's been quarantined that they need to care for, that they could utilize their sick time as an approved reason for that. We do have some contracts, not here in the city, but in other jurisdictions, that do identify quarantines as an approved reason for the use of sick time. Since we did not have that here in the city of Freeport, we needed to do this MOU. So this will not change the exemptions that you passed back in the spring, but simply will just operate to expand the use of sick time for quarantines up through the end of this fiscal year.
Perfect, thank you.
Mayor,
Alderman Borneman?
thank you. Is this something that an officer could use retroactively if they had been placed in quarantine?
Yeah.
We actually have already been operating this way in practice because we had to have something available for employees to address this circumstance. So we're essentially coming back on the back end and documenting what we have already been doing in practice. And that's across all departments.
Thank you.
Well, if there's no further questions or discussion, we have a motion made by Alderman Busker, seconded by Alderman Ross. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Misick,
Aye.
and Berberay.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted 7-0.
And then item number 31, as asked by some council members, we have a discussion regarding relief of for bars, restaurants, and video gaming establishments by Manager Bucus.
Thank you, Your Honor. I included in your packets, your council packets, a graph or chart that shows the various liquor license establishments or businesses that have a liquor license in the city, and what kind of fees they're paying and what kind of discount, if you wanted to give them, what it would cost the city. I believe, well, I'll just leave it at that. And I'm open to any questions that you may have at this time. I think this is going to have to be more of a give and take than me giving any type of formal presentation.
Manager Bucus, could you just remind the council what has already taken place as far as giving some relief to these establishments?
Yes, back in April, March and April, we forgave the food and beverage taxes to allow these businesses that are listed on the chart. That was in the tune of between $110,000 and $120,000. We've also made drop-off areas in some areas of the city for people to operate as well. I think that's probably the major benefit back.
Was there a reduction in the liquor license fees in July?
We did. We gave them 2 months worth of credit for their liquor licenses, and there again, we have to remember liquor licenses are come due July 1st. So this was given again in the summer. They were given two months worth of credit.
Madam Mayor?
Alderman McClanathan?
Thank you. Yeah, I think it was good that the efforts that we did place back in the spring, they were timely, they were important, they were targeted. We could have targeted them a little more, but at that time we didn't know exactly how this was all going to play out, so we did a little more of a broader-based approach. Now we do see how this is playing out more throughout not only throughout the country, but also particularly our locality. You've got some places that, you look at your drive-in fast food restaurants, McDonald's, your Wendy's, your Culver's, your Pizza Hut, and then you also got your big box stores, your Walmarts, Menards. I mean, they're killing it, and I think it's being reflected in our sales tax, and then also our food and beverage tax, where applicable on those. So from a city perspective, when we look at it, we say, well, our revenue sources aren't going drastically down. However, that macro view is not a reflection of the microeconomic issues that are going on here. I mean, we just saw over the weekend two additional businesses downtown indicate that they're not opening their doors back up. So you've got some folks that are doing really, really well, but you've also got the folks that are suffering a whole lot of pain right now. And granted, I also am sympathetic to the idea that we don't want to take too broad of an approach here. I mean, for instance, the gaming parlors and things of that nature that were largely exempted under the governor's orders for a broad period of time aren't suffering the same effects that you're seeing by some of these, small restaurants and bars here. Additionally, you've got, I think the bars and restaurants that are being hurt the most are the ones that are complying also the most with the governor's orders. I'm quite confident that if we looked back at the sales tax receipts for pretty much any bar or restaurant here in Freeport, I'd be shocked if any of them are anywhere near what they were for these for the prior year with the pandemic restrictions. Also, you've got gas stations that technically would qualify under some of these liquor licenses, but I don't think you're looking for targeted relief for that. With all that said, and granted, in the grand scheme of things, are any provisions that we do here in Freeport going to be very drastic? Probably not, but you've got some of these entities that paid for a license. It's not like we're giving out, general fund money that we're taking in and just distributing it, as policy. You've got individuals that, as part of an exchange for being able to offer a service for a certain period of time, had to pay a fee, and they're either entirely or significantly drastically reduced in their ability to provide that service. So that said, from my perspective, what I'd like to see, and I've had discussions obviously with Alderman Borneman, I've had discussions with Manager Bucas here, is you take the fee that you've got there and narrow the definition. If we're going to be giving X amount of months of relief off of a fee, you could narrow it down to entities that have at least 50% of their sales come from food and beverage, and you can even restrict it further by saying those entities that have the primary method of distribution being on-site consumption. So, and frankly, I don't mind drafting something like that if there is a consensus in regards to that, or obviously having the administration draft it as well. That's just kind of where I stand on the discussion, and I'll sit back and hear where my colleagues are at.
Mayor.
Alderman Borneman?
Thank you. I agree. I think Mr. McClanahan summed it up very well. I'm not going to waste everyone's time by repeating his points, but this does come down to, the city did stuff back last year, and we're appreciative of that. But in my mind, it's really an issue of fairness where people, business owners, members of our community are paying for a license to be able to do something, and then they're being thoroughly discouraged from using that license to provide the service. When it comes to that liquor license, and I agree that we should try to narrow it down to identify those restaurants and bars and businesses that were really hurt the most, which I think is those on-site consumption bars and restaurants, not necessarily gas stations or grocery stores. So with that, I am in favor of seeing us move forward on something like this, and obviously Manager Bucas' input is very important as well. So I'm hoping to work with management and council to get something done here. Thank you.
Just a question on that. So if we narrow this down to the locals that are being affected because they paid for, 10 months worth of licensing, and let's say they're only going to be using it for 5 months worth, just as a figure to throw out there. Are you suggesting that maybe we revisit this like in May to make that determination, because they're not actually due then until July?
No, I was more speaking to how it looked, what's already been done, the damage that's already been done, if it could be in a rebate form. But I'm open to options too.
Madam Mayor.
Alderman McClanahan?
I would share the sentiment for Alderman Borneman. I mean, one, that's the period of time that they've been negatively impacted, and two,
we're in the middle of kind of the crisis point for those entities. Waiting until July, particularly if they're all closed until July. I mean, a rebate or a credit on something like that, I don't think is as effective as something in the shorter term.
Your Honor?
Alderman Burberry.
Thank you. I'd like to thank my two colleagues for their insights. Initially, I was opposed to this and really hadn't thought it through, and I think the concept of looking at it from a micro point of view whereby we attempt to assist our local businesses. The big boxes will take care of themselves and quite well. But I think we need to be thinking out of the box and be creative to help our small locally owned businesses. Thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Alderman Busker.
Yeah, I don't think we're talking about more than probably a dozen locations, maybe a few more, but I don't think it'd be out of line to do something that's targeted to help them out. So I would be in favor of having something drafted up here.
So Manager Bucus, how do you see this playing out?
Well, Your Honor, the chart that I provided was more than just some of the restaurants, and we'll have to go back and see what kind of impact it will be, because we have like 43 or 46 liquor license holders in the city, and as was stated previously by a couple of the aldermen, not all of them would qualify under the 50% food and beverage, that they're getting their revenue 50% at least from food and beverage, and has to be consumed on site. So that would eliminate like CVS and Walgreens and some of the gas stations and that too. So we'll have to look at it, and we could put together another chart that will be a lot smaller and a little more condensed, and then we'll be up to council to decide of how many months of relief they want to give. But I could give you what the monthly deduction would be.
Is that what you're thinking of? Attorney?
And I don't know if this will be of any assistance, but I have seen similar ordinances over the last few weeks being passed in other communities that we work with. One strategy that I've seen that they've executed is not only limiting by class and percentage of food consumption, which I know was brought up this evening, but then also narrowing the time period to the time period in which the executive order was in place for the closure of indoor dining. So if you're going to do some type of rebate or offset of 2021 renewals, one way that I've seen other communities do it is to tie it to the dates upon which the facility was closed for indoor dining.
Madam Mayor?
Go ahead.
Thank you. Could you, I'd ask actually, could we have those revised figures for consideration at the committee of the whole next week?
That was my intention.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion concerning this topic?
Madam Mayor?
Go ahead.
So on this topic, I do appreciate how we've taken some steps in the city to relieve the small businesses. I care about how the small businesses are performing in the city and want to do whatever is necessary to see them to thrive. Now, in that, earlier this year, as we recognized some of the restrictions were coming, the city council passed an ordinance to allow businesses to choose whether to stay open or not. And I still stand behind the fact of exactly the same controls that big box stores are doing, that our small businesses should still continue to do, take those actions to make sure that all of their customers are safe and that they can thrive just as the big box stores have. So I really am looking to partner with them and to support them. And looking ahead to this, I think that's also a part of this is really, are you willing to take a stand and take the proper safety measures for your business to stay open? I do support this as to looking into the data of when the indoor dining was not an option and providing some relief in that area. So thank you for the time to look into that.
Okay, I think that concludes this portion. We will move on to item number 32, which is department head reports, finance.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just wanted to take one moment and point out in the consent agenda that was part of this meeting tonight are new reports that were generated from our new financial software. We are still in the process of figuring out which reports are best and what layout is best. But this does eliminate, the ones that were included tonight were all produced from the software, and so we're not hand keying something into Excel to present in order to combine different accounts. So I just wanted to take a second and point that out. We did go live just last week with utility billing. We're continuing this week with training on that. And we are continuing training even into the next weeks with Encode, kind of a after go live. Once you're using it for a while, what questions do you have? So, and I do want to thank the council very much for approving this purchase of new financial software and utility billing software. We're already reaping the benefits. So, thank you.
Thank you. Community development.
Thank you. I wanted to give a little report on the building permit for November. We had 56 total permits, and that was a little bit over $357,000 in project costs, and we took in just about $6,500 in permit fees. In addition to that, so the Northern Illinois Land Bank met last week and approved the sale of the first two properties in Freeport, so 603 West Pleasant. That building is a 3-unit building that sold for $12,000 to Hassan Altier. There were no additional offers for this property, and it is going to be a rental property. The next one was 857 East Shawnee. That's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, and that sold for $15,750 to Phil and Mia McDermott. There were 3 additional offers to this property, ranging from $10,000 to $15,500. Both properties are going to be rehabbed within 12 months. They're required to get building permits through the city and inspections by our building inspector. Both are planning on renting homes as well. And then last item to report on is the telephone town hall meeting. So this Wednesday, December 9th at 4 p.m., FEMA is hosting a telephone town hall. So the phone number can be found on our website, on our Facebook page. Flyers were issued to all residents and property owners, the floodway east of the Pecatonica River. And this is going to be about the pre-disaster mitigation grant project application. FEMA is going to be giving an overview of our grant program, the purpose of the project, and then FEMA, IEMA, and myself are going to be answering questions from residents during the town hall. So all residents and property owners in the floodway and anyone else who's interested in learning more about this program is welcome to join in. If you did not receive a flyer, you haven't seen our information online, we did place flyer boxes by the gas station and the grocery store on East Stevenson Street. And you can also contact the Community Development Department to get more information on it or to get a flyer too. And then we're accepting comments from now through the end of the month to provide to FEMA to help them come up with a review process based on the comments and questions received from residents on our project. Thank you.
Mayor,
you. Yes.
could I get clarification, Director Hines? How much was collected in permit fees?
In permit fees, we collected almost $6,500.
Thank you.
Okay, then we will move on to Public Works. No report tonight, Your Honor. Thank you. Fire?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In light of recent fires, I wanted to take a moment just to cover some fire prevention information through the holidays. I want to make sure that everyone has a working smoke detector in each level of their home and by their sleeping area. Also, working carbon monoxide detectors. Remember that carbon monoxide is a silent killer. And in the winter months when we're using furnaces and things like that, the possibility of carbon monoxide poisoning rises. Also, if you're getting a fresh cut tree, make sure you're watering that tree regularly. Don't place it over a vent where it could dry out quickly, particularly a heat vent that might be in a room. Make sure that you're protecting that tree from drying out, and limit your use of extension cords for all of your holiday lighting. Don't overload your lights. Make sure you follow the recommendations of the manufacturer when you're using holiday lights on your tree or your home or in garland. Make sure you're not using candles. Candles is a big deal. They create a great ambiance, and of course the many different scents that are available to us to accentuate the holiday experience are there, but make sure you're not leaving them unattended or burning in an empty home, because they certainly can and do cause fires. We want you to watch what you cook. Our most common fire during the holiday season and throughout the year is cooking fires. So watch what you cook, stay there, keep an eye on it, keep track of it, and don't get distracted. Also, knowing two ways out of your home or any place that you're traveling is extremely important. Many folks travel during the holiday season, so if you're visiting family members and you're in an unfamiliar home or an unfamiliar hotel, make sure that you know two ways out. Count the doors to your exits. Make sure that your exits aren't blocked by materials, toys, gifts, people. Just keep an eye out and make sure that you have a good exit plan no matter where you're traveling. So please have a safe and wonderful holiday. And fire prevention is your responsibility every day of the year. Thank you.
Thank you. And Chief Summers.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to report that this last weekend we had our annual Shop of the Cop program. We had we bought for 20 children. We spent about $3,500 during this event. I'd like to thank Walmart for providing a place for us to have this and their assistance in having a great event.
Thank you. IT? And library?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to remind you that we are having the Festival of Trees still at the library. So voting is now currently open, and it is lasting until December 26th. So go ahead and come on in and place your vote. We also have officially launched our Library of Things, which is the items that you can check out that are not things that you would really think about having at a library. If you want more information on that, go ahead and look at our Facebook page. I want to keep this short so that you guys can finish up the meeting tonight. You did receive all of the specified details about that already, but if anybody that's listening, feel free to give us a call, look at our Facebook page, or come and visit us at the library. Thank you.
Thank you. And City Manager's report.
Thank you, Your Honor. First, I'd like to thank the council for approving the amended appropriations budget. I think in the long run, that's going to help the city with our future finances. And speaking of appropriations, the fiscal year 2020 reappropriation ordinance will be on the December 21st council agenda. And at that time, we will ask for suspending the rules as we will have first and second reading that night. Lastly, some staff members and I met with members of the Freeport Rental Property Owners Association, and we're looking at developing a new rental registration program that we hope to implement sometime in the spring of next year. And that's all I have for tonight. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. And I'd just like to take a moment to talk about the final report for the Social Justice Committee that was on the consent agenda. This is a 240-page document that was pulled together by this committee. And I would like to just take a moment tonight just to highlight the metrics portion, which is on page 71. The metrics include recruitment, that by October 2021, there would be an increase in minority and female employment rate by 5% in the police and fire departments. Within the police department, that by July 1st, there would be staff of a social worker that is hired. During this time, we also came up with staff on the street to get to know our constituents better, and so our target is to have a minimum of 20 residents in attendance to these events to promote citizen engagement. In the community development department, we would like to see an increase of inspections by 5% each year and continue in the demolitions to address some of the blight in our neighborhoods. On boards and commissions, we'd like to see an increase in the female and minority within those members. As of November 1st of this year, our female and minority members made up 41% and 18% respectively. Also, in marketing, it is our goal that we hire a marketing director by the 1st of July, and all of this is for the purpose of accountability. So in order to measure these metrics, we will be giving a review of a quarterly report to the Committee of the Whole meeting starting next month. So that way we continue to go in the path of what this committee was designed for. So I would like to applaud all of those committee members and their efforts, and I'm grateful for that representation and the ongoing commitment that these individuals have to the community. I'd also like to thank both of the chiefs for their transparency during this process and for their efforts to implement quickly the plan for recruitment. So this final document that was approved tonight will serve as a roadmap of areas as we go forward so that the city may continue to achieve a more accurate reflection of the community and improved efforts for ways to communicate and to educate. So we will move on to council announcements. Alderman Berberet.
Nothing, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Borneman.
I'd just like to thank the departments for the Battle of the Badges and Shop with the Cop and all the work they're doing. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Alderman McClanathan.
Nothing further, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Ross.
Nothing at this time, ma'am.
Thank you. Alderman Parker.
Nothing, Your Honor.
Thank you. Alderman Busker.
Nothing this evening.
Thank you. And Alderman Misick.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I appreciate your comments about the Social Justice Committee and really thinking about this roadmap of efforts. I really do appreciate all of the work each member put into this, really the hours of researching, sharing lots of very, very detailed information. The report itself, very comprehensive in terms of the depth of information. And really this is about education. And I think there are some steps now to understand really what the community needs for some of the healing process to take place there. And just very thankful for the time that was put in on that. And I can see some very good efforts to come forward as a result, and we'll certainly be monitoring those things. Also, thinking ahead and into the holiday times of obviously continuing to make safe choices and be thankful for the times you have with your family, and obviously the safety measures that chiefs already have been talking about. So thank you.
Thank you. That will conclude the council portion of this. And so item number 36 is public comments. Are there any public comments? Item 37 is executive session. Madam Clerk, could you please read this?
We will only be using exemption 1, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity.
Thank you. Is there a motion to enter into executive session?
So moved.
We have a motion. We have a motion made by Alderman Ross, seconded by, was that McClanahan? Burberry. Sorry, Burberry. Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Borneman?
Aye.
McClanathan?
Aye.
Ross?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye.
Busker?
Aye.
Misick?
Aye.
And Burberry.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.